Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Jen. In today's video, I wanted to talk a little about choosing curriculum, and I'm not going to go so much into the specific details about what you should be looking for and the different kinds of curriculum that there is, and learning styles and things like that. Today's video, I just kind of wanted to do a quick little, I guess, just sharing a little bit of wisdom from someone who has been homeschooling for almost 10 years now. I have 6 kids. I have my oldest who's just graduated from high school and is going into college, and I have all the way down to a 6-year-old. So I've been doing this for quite a long time, a lot of grades, all the way from kindergarten, all the way to high school. And I have been there, done that when it comes to curriculum. So I know right around this time, everybody starts to sort of get the itch, I guess, to start looking at curriculum for the following year. You're probably looking through catalogs, online stores, and maybe already making your lists, or just trying to kind of get an idea of what you might want to be doing or purchasing for next year. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I understand the curriculum fever, okay? I get it. I've been tempted by it myself. I've given into it myself. I'm here to tell you that you really don't need to purchase it all. You probably don't need to get as much as you think you need to get, as fun as it is and exciting. And I mean, listen, I'm one of those people who, I wouldn't say that I loved school growing up, like in actuality, the actual school part I didn't really love, but that whole going back to school and getting all the new things, the notebooks, the paper, the pens, the pencils, everything fresh and new, that was my favorite. And even now, that kind of translates into our homeschool whenever we are doing back to school shopping, and that includes the curriculum, because there's nothing like just getting like fresh new curriculum in the mail and cracking it open, and especially if it's something you've never done before, it's always very exciting to kind of venture into something different for you and for your kids. Now, as much as I think that there's value in switching things up, especially if it's not working for you, like if you find that there's been some things that you've been using this past year that just isn't working, or maybe it's even you've done it for a while and it's starting to kind of fizzle off in terms of your enjoyment of it, your kids' enjoyment of it, and you're looking for some change, I definitely think that as opposed to staying with something that just kind of feels stagnant and just doesn't really bring about that spark of doing it and learning it, then I think that there's definitely times when it is good to switch things up and change things up. I've done that quite a few times. Sometimes we have certain things that we've done for multiple kids for multiple years, and then it kind of just gets to a point where honestly, I'm just tired of doing it. I've like cycled through the same book so many times with so many kids that I myself just need something fresh and new. But there's always times and circumstances where I think it's warranted to venture out and get something new. That being said, I think that if you have curriculum that is already working for you and is working for your kids and is accomplishing what you wanted to accomplish in terms of, education wise, which is like ultimately the most important thing, then I think that we need to just be careful that we're not sort of getting roped into all the curriculum excitement and buzz that's going around, because, I just even noticed myself that on a lot of homeschooling pages and channels, it's a lot of what I'm seeing. People sharing what they're going to be doing next year, or even like showing what they've already purchased. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy watching those videos, and it's a great way to get ideas and to sort of maybe come across some things that you didn't even know about. It's definitely a great resource, but I think that sometimes too, we can get so wrapped up in it that even if we didn't intend on making a change, suddenly we're like, oh, well, but I want to try that too. Oh, but I've never done that. Maybe I want to try that too. I'm basically just here to say that as much as, the whole curriculum shopping and the getting ready for the new year is super exciting and fun, I think that sometimes we can go overboard in, really, it can be overwhelming, I think, for our kids too, because if we end up getting too much and we're trying to do all the things because everything looks great, I'll go on like christianbook.com, and quite frankly, there's not a lot on there that I'm just like, you know, I would try that. I would check that out. But I know at some point too, there needs to be just like a, okay, it's enough. Because listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, there have been some years where it's just been like a lot. I got too much. I got too many things. I was trying to cram too many things in 1 year, and inevitably it caused burnout, and it was more a hinder than a help. And the other thing is even just the cost and the expense. So whether you are a seasoned homeschooler or maybe you're new to homeschooling and this is your first year that you're purchasing curriculum, I think even more so for you, it can be overwhelming, you know, because you're kind of starting from scratch. All the opinions and ideas are just coming at you left and right. And I'm just here to tell you that as overwhelming as it can seem, because I know for me, even for me, like when I started looking up some of the different books and curriculums and things like that, I was overwhelmed at how easily it adds up, especially, well, I mean, depending on how many kids you're homeschooling, it can definitely add up. But even more so now than there was before, there's so many inexpensive and free resources that I encourage you to research and check out for yourself. I've mentioned a few on here in the past. I'm not affiliated with any of them, and of course, you know, you have to pick what works for you, but things like The Good and the Beautiful, I would say overall, you know, the cost of their curriculum is on the less expensive side. We tend to, we do order from them when we pick out things. There's certain things I do order from them just because it makes more sense to actually get like the copy that they supply. I would say more so than not, I will print out PDFs. It's way less expensive. And also part of it too is because we live in Canada, there's a ton of shipping costs. So it really is less expensive for us to print it out. And I've talked about how we have the Epson EcoTank printer. And so if you're thinking, yeah, but what about the cost of the printing and the ink and all that? I encourage you that if you plan on doing a lot of printing, if you invest in something like that, it'll pay off in the end. But we do that a lot. And then aside from that though, they offer a lot of their courses completely free. So you still have to print them out, but they are zero cost aside from the paper and the, you know, and the printer ink. I haven't checked for this year, but last I knew, their language arts and their math, I'm almost certain go from all the way from, I think even pre-K up to like everything elementary. I'm almost positive elementary, middle school is free to download and print. You're still getting great quality and great curriculum for obviously a fraction of the price. Another site that we have utilized quite a bit, we used it a lot at the very start, especially because I was just so overwhelmed with what to choose, was Khan Academy. And like I said, I've talked about them here before as well. As of now, my son, who is 12, he does a coding course on there. It's very involved, it's very detailed. They have everything on there. I mean, pretty much everything on there that you can think of in terms of courses and classes. That in itself you can use as a core curriculum for a lot of your kids' courses. So I encourage you to look into something like that. Even a site like Teachers Pay Teachers, you know, you do pay for the downloads for those courses, but they are extremely reduced, and there's such great things on there. And it's essentially educators who are creating unit studies and all kinds of things for all different ages, and you can get a lot of great stuff on there for very inexpensive. So, and I mean, there's more than that, but I just would encourage you to look into options like that. I think especially, not just, but especially if you have younger kids. And when I say younger kids, I'm not even just talking like kindergarten age. I'm talking like up until grade 4 or 5. I would encourage you not to spend a lot on curriculum because you just don't have to. I mean, that's really the end of the story, is you really just don't have to. I think the other thing too is like, just because you can, it doesn't mean you have to, because this notion that the more expensive curriculum equals better resources or better education, I think is completely false. And so, you know, just like don't fall for that idea that you have to pay more in order for your kids to have a good education. I would also encourage you to look at some curriculums. Again, The Good and the Beautiful is just a really good example of this, where they kind of roll in a few different subjects into one set curriculum. So for instance, a lot of their language arts programs. You'll have spelling in there as well, and you'll also do some geography and some art. Sprinkled through, you know, the lessons is a little bit of art, a little bit of geography, and then you have your spelling as well. And so if you can do something like that where it's a little more, it's not like all in one, but it's a little more all in one, that's also going to help you from having to go out and purchase, or even think that you have to purchase a very specific spelling program or art program, and then an English program, and then a math program. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just things to think about. And I'm just going to be honest with you right now. I am probably not going to be purchasing a lot of curriculum for this upcoming school year. Now, in my case, because I have been homeschooling for so long, I have acquired quite a bit of curriculum over the years. And as of now, because I'm still, you know, we're ongoing homeschoolers, and I still have quite a few years still to go with my younger ones. I haven't really gotten rid of anything, even if it's things that we haven't really used, or maybe it was kind of like, oh, this didn't really work. I still hold on to that stuff because you just never know with subsequent kids that you are teaching. So it's great to kind of have those resources sitting there. This is usually what I do every year, but especially this year, once my older kids get to high school, they do a lot of their work through an online program. And so when I'm buying curriculum, I'm focused a little bit more on the younger kids. For me, the things that are sort of an automatic, I guess, cost for us in our homeschool is the courses that my kids are taking online for high school. And then we do math, like we do teaching textbooks, math. And so, you know, whenever the kids finish one grade and start a new level, we have to purchase that new level for them. We're using the Good and the Beautiful language arts pretty much until the kids get to grade 8. And again, I have purchased them a few times, but more often than not, I will just download the programs on a PDF, and so they're free. I will order like the readers, and if we're doing like any of the science units, I have done the PDFs of those as well, and they do cost something. They're still less than if you order them, depending on, you know, what it is, but that's super inexpensive. And then aside from that, I'm ordering Explode the Code for the little kids. Fix It Grammar is one that we do every single year. For art, we've been doing See the Light art DVDs for as long as I can remember. The kids all do that. I talked about how the kids do typing.com for a lot of their typing, which is also free. I mean, obviously there's a couple of things here and there that we obviously do, but even things that we do for like Bible and theology, we do the Apologia, Who is God, Who is My Neighbor, Who Am I? It's like an entire series that they have. I already have the books. I've been cycling through those with all of my kids as well. Basically what I'm trying to say is that you can homeschool your kids definitely, and it does not have to break the bank. You have to make sure that you can stay within whatever budget you have. You can definitely find what you need to find to give your kids a good education. So I'm just here basically to encourage you, because I have been doing it for a long time. And again, I want to be completely honest, and there have been years where I've spent way too much. Luckily, I've learned from that and realized that you don't have to do that. Another thing that I've sort of learned through experience is that more is not always better. Sometimes simplifying things a little bit, and like I said, not overwhelming yourself or your kids by trying to be doing too much all in one year, all in one shot. That's usually the best approach, in my opinion. There is something to be said too for leaving a few gaps in your day, just a little bit of sort of extra time that, you know, if you need to use that time to focus on something or to spend a little more time on one certain curriculum or one certain subject with the kids, you can. If you have a jam-packed schedule because you have just gotten all the things and you're trying to do all the things, not only can it be overwhelming, but now you're sort of on this such a strict schedule that there is not that, which is what I love about homeschooling, is that freedom to explore, the freedom to spend more time on things if you want. A lot of times when we do our morning time, we get into some great discussions, especially when we're doing our devotionals and stuff, or if we're doing a science lesson. And I want to be able to have that cushion, like that time cushion, to spend that time with my kids and not be thinking like, oh, but we have to get to 27 other subjects, you know? So I know that taking that approach within my homeschooling has helped me to not feel like I have to get so many things year after year. I hope that makes sense. I kind of just wanted to throw this video into my schedule to encourage you that, you know, wherever you're at, you can homeschool, you can do it well, and you don't have to break the bank to do it. To also just say, you know, you need to do what's best for you, for your family, for your kids, for your specific homeschooling needs. And as much as it's great to get inspiration and ideas from channels like mine and all the other channels here on YouTube, please just make sure that you take all of it with a grain of salt and that you don't feel the urge to have to do every single thing that every single person is necessarily recommending to you. And if you have any suggestions for some free or inexpensive curriculum that you want to share with everybody else, I would love for you to leave it in the comments below. I will try to link all the sites that I mentioned down in the info bar, and I hope you guys are doing great. I will see you in my next video. Bye.